Real urban legends. The creepiest urban legends that turned out to be true. Number 1. Charlie No-Face. As the legend goes, in the summer of 1983, Matt and his cousin were out for a late-night drive, killing time like they usually did. Only this time, they weren't just driving aimlessly. They knew exactly what they were looking for. They'd heard the stories. A man with no face, wandering the backwoods of Beaver County, Pennsylvania, said to haunt an old, abandoned tunnel just outside Piney Fork. Matt parked near the tunnel, engine running, heart beating faster than a Jehovah's Witness at a vampire convention. The air felt thick, too quiet, like the sound itself had decided not to hang around. Then, they saw him, a figure at the far end of the tunnel. Not moving, not threatening, just standing there, watching. He didn't wave, he didn't speak, and somehow, that was worse. Presumably scared shitless, the boys peeled out and never looked back. And honestly, they didn't need to. Because, as you've probably guessed from the title of this video, the story is real, but not in a way that you might think. His name was Raymond Theodore Robinson. The reason behind his appearance? A tragic accident back in 1919. As a child, Raymond was electrocuted while climbing down a power line and suffered severe disfigurement. It was his habit of taking long walks at night. He didn't want to scare people. That's why he avoided daylight. He chose the shadows out of kindness. Ironically, that only made him more terrifying to those who didn't know better. He became known as the Green Man, or Charlie No-Face, attracting curious teens and urban legend hunters from neighboring towns. But here's the truth. He didn't live in a tunnel, he didn't chase people, and he wasn't a monster. He was just a man, respected in his community and deeply loved by his family. Locals would offer him cigars, beers, or just stop to talk. And those who actually met Raymond didn't leave scared. They left humbled. It's honestly kind of heartbreaking how simply looking different can turn a person into a myth, into something people fear, instead of someone they try to understand. Anyway, that was the story of Charlie No-Face. Following that, Number 2. The Bunny Man. This legend takes us to a tunnel in Colchester, Virginia, during the 1970s. Now, depending on who you ask, the stories vary. Some claim it was a guy in a bunny costume who chased people with an axe, while others say he just yelled at teens for trespassing. But what's not up for debate is that the legend does have a paper trail, specifically 2 police reports. The first incident was reported on October 19, 1970 by a U.S. Air Force Academy cadet named Robert Bennett and his fiancée. The couple had been visiting relatives on Guinea Road in Burke and, around midnight, decided to park their car in a field to visit an uncle. Classic. While sitting in the front seat with the engine running, they noticed movement near the rear window. Then, boom! The front passenger window shattered. Standing beside it was a man in white who promptly shouted at them for trespassing, helpfully adding, "You're on private property and I have your tag number." As Bennett sped off, they noticed a hatchet had landed on the car floor. You know, as a souvenir. Quick side note. Statistically, the best way to avoid being murdered by a man in a bunny costume is to subscribe to this channel. Not scientifically proven, but hey, it hasn't not worked. When asked for a description, Bennett said the guy was wearing a white suit with long bunny ears. His fiancée disagreed, claiming it was more of a white hood or capirote situation, which... Either way, both of them agreed the man wasn't exactly the Easter Bunny. The police examined the hatchet, then handed it back to Bennett because the 70s. The second sighting happened 10 days later, October 29th, 1970. A security guard named Paul Phillips spotted a man standing on the porch of an unfinished house, also on Guinea Road. According to Phillips, the man was dressed in a gray, black, and white bunny costume. He appeared to be in his 20s, about 5'8", and roughly 175 pounds. So what was he doing? Chopping at a porch post with a full-sized axe while shouting, "You're trespassing. If you come any closer, I'll chop off your head." You know, typical neighborhood welcome. And just like that, the Bunny Man became more than just a weird campfire story. 2 police reports, a rabbit suit, and an axe. However, the next legend was so deranged and disturbing that he would make Ted Bundy look like a saint. Number 3. Cropsey. The legend of Cropsey haunted Staten Island like a childhood nightmare that refused to fade. Parents told their kids that Cropsey was a deranged escapee, living in the woods, hiding in the shadows, snatching children who stayed out too late. He was said to live beneath the abandoned Willowbrook State School, a decaying institution already stained by a history of abuse and neglect. But for a long time, Cropsey was just that, a story. Until the disappearances started. Between 1972 and 1987, several children vanished from Staten Island. All of them were young, all of them had disabilities, and all of them were taken without a trace. For years, the police had no answers. Locals whispered the name Cropsey, and the legend began to take a darker, more unsettling shape. Then came 1987. Jennifer Schwager, a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome, went missing. A month later, her body was discovered, buried near the grounds of the old Willowbrook School. Search efforts led authorities to a man named Andre Rand, a former employee of Willowbrook with a history of disturbing behavior and a trail of circumstantial evidence connecting him to multiple disappearances. He wasn't wearing a mask, he didn't live in the shadows, he was real. Rand was eventually convicted in connection with 2 of the cases. He was never charged for the others, but his presence alone blurred the lines between legend and reality. Cropsey wasn't just a monster invented to scare kids. He was the embodiment of a very real threat, a predator, hiding in plain sight, operating in the cracks of a broken system. What makes the Cropsey case so terrifying isn't just the crimes themselves. It's how easily they slipped into the category of myth, how the community had turned tragedy into folklore because the truth was too disturbing to face head-on. It's a reminder that sometimes, the scariest stories don't come from imagination. They come from real life, and they don't always end with answers. Alright, I know this video has a more somber tone than our others, but it feels a bit distasteful to make light of stories that truly affected real people. What isn't distasteful, though, is subscribing to the channel to help support our educational content, even when it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. So if you liked this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell if you're itching for the next one. The Bunny Man can't get you here. Alright, stay safe out there. See ya.